From Athens to the empires of the East, humanity has wrestled with a single stubborn dilemma: who is truly fit to choose the rulers? In ancient Greece, Pericles proclaimed the glory of democracy, and yet, even the cradle of democracy buried women, slaves, and foreigners. Voting was a privilege of the few, and Plato was aware of mob rule. He warned in the Republic that when the ignorant many rule, the state drifts like a ship captained by a drunken crew. No Chinese citizen wakes up one morning saying, "I'm going to vote for my president." Why? Because the president of China is not chosen by the people. He is selected by members of the Chinese Communist Party. But here is the catch. The Communist Party is not your average political club. It is not an open membership association. You don't simply walk in, sign a form, and become part of it. The party is an elite entity. Its members are selected and not self-selected. They are individuals who have proven their capacity to think strategically, economically, and politically. They are disciplined, educated, and tested. Poor people must not be allowed to vote. Poor people don't have vision. And in the beginning, the book of Proverbs reminds us that where there is no vision, the people perish. And the Qur'an echoes that indeed Allah does not change the condition of our people until they change what is in themselves. Across continents and across centuries, the question of who should rule, of how a nation chooses its shepherds, this question has hounded kings and commoners alike. And today, as Kenya stumbles through the crossroads of promise and peril, in a voice rises from the lecture halls of our land, Professor Gitile Naituli. His challenge is unsettling, his words a flint against the stone of democracy itself. Professor says, poor people should not vote from 2027. This is shocking, right? Maybe, perhaps, but stay with us. For beyond the sting lies a mirror, reflecting not only Kenya, but the restless soul of humanity. In imperial China, long before the red flag of communism, the mandarins of the Confucian age set civil service examination so grueling that only the most disciplined minds emerged. The Chinese system, though brutal, is pragmatic. It reminds me of the Ameru's Njuri Ncheke system in the 19th century. The elders understood that poverty was not merely a lack of money, but a poverty of mind. And those with a poverty of mind, if trusted with leadership, they will disrupt society. They will be mean, selfish, and without shame. Njuri Ncheke therefore preferred leaders who had demonstrated wisdom, stability, and discipline before being entrusted with the power. Looking at Kenya today, the lesson becomes painfully obvious. The Chinese system rests on a harsh but realistic observation. A person who does not know if they will eat tonight, or who is consumed by the struggle to survive, that cannot possibly have the clarity of mind to choose a country's president. Yes, it is uncomfortable to hear, but it is true. Someone who cannot govern their own life, who does not understand economics, geopolitics, or industrial strategy, that cannot be expected to wisely choose a leader for 1.4 billion people. Democracy insists on the right of every citizen to vote, but China prefers to entrust governance to trained minds, individuals who have been screened, disciplined, and tested. Leadership is not a popularity contest. It is a responsibility for which proof of competence is required. That's why in China, it is not the people who vote, it is the Communist Party that chooses. And even within the Communist Party, only those with a proven track record, loyalty, and results rise to the top. power is not earned through emotional ballots. It is earned through discipline and demonstrated capacity. And from China we learn 4 strategic lessons. Competence outweighs popular opinion. China does not gamble its destiny on slogans or populism. Leaders are selected based on merit, performance, and discipline. The result? In just 40 years, China rose from a struggling nation to the second largest economy in the world, and it may soon be the first. Meanwhile, in democracies like Kenya, leaders rise through tribal arithmetic, flashy promises, or the loudest rallies. The outcome is very predictable: mismanagement, waste, and stagnation. From China's system of governance, we learn the second lesson. Elites are not a threat when well managed. They are a necessity. And if you want elite results, then you need elites in charge. China turned its communist party into a meritocratic elite. Entry is not through populism, but through achievement, loyalty, and proven rigor. These elites become the backbone of China's rise, steering massive infrastructure, building global technology, firms like Huawei and Tencent, and lifting 800 million people out of poverty. And now, contrast this with a typical Kenya. In Kenya, elites often means political cronies rewarded for loyalty rather than results. Elites in Kenya consume resources, and elites in China, they produce resources. The third lesson learned from the Chinese system of governance is that stability is better than democratic chaos. China does not change direction every 5 years. It plans decades ahead. Projects like the Belt and Road Initiative, the construction of mega cities, and technological dominance are conceived in 30 to 100-year horizons. But meanwhile, in democracies like Kenya, they tear down what the previous government built, only to replace it with a new flagship project. Every election resets national priorities. Stability is sacrificed at the altar of politics, and long-term projects collapse under short-term thinking. The fourth lesson learned from the Chinese system of governance is that guided collective intelligence beats the illusion of freedom. China bet on training its elites and entrusting them with guiding the masses. The result? Swift decisions, rapid infrastructure, booming digital growth, and rising global influence. And contrast that with democracies spend years debating a single law or a struggle for decades to build a bridge. In Kenya, every voice wants to be heard, but nothing gets done. China acts while others talk. The Chinese system is not perfect. It is authoritarian. It limits freedoms, but it has a ruthless clarity. A nation cannot afford to be run on emotion, slogans, and populism. Leadership must be entrusted to those who have proven they can carry the weight of reality. This is exactly what the Ameru elders understood with the Njuri Ncheke system. The Njuri Ncheke trusted power only to those with the discipline, foresight, and a proven capacity to lead. They did not hand over leadership to anyone simply because they were popular. And Kenya's tragedy today is that we often elect leaders based on tribe, populism, and handouts, not competence. And we wonder why corruption thrives, why poverty remains entrenched, and why development stalls. China offers a lesson, one that may be hard to swallow, but one that deserves reflection. If we want elite results, then we cannot afford to demonize elites. If we want stability, we cannot afford to gamble leadership on short-term populism. If we want progress, then we must reward competence and not slogans. Democracy may make us feel good, but does it always deliver results? China's rise challenges us to rethink. It shows that nations rise not on emotions, but on discipline, strategy, and stability. Kenya must decide: Will we continue to gamble our future on popular noise, or will we find a way, perhaps even through our own traditions like the Njuri Ncheke, to entrust leadership to those who can think, rethink, and think beyond the new election cycle? The lesson is clear. Nations that put competence first rise. Nations that confuse democracy with progress stagnate. Something for Kenya to think about.